Hello, friends. Wow, another Sunday. It's almost the end of 2022. This is unreal. How they say time is flying. But you know, according to my theories, time doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't even exist. So, who is here? Chris. You know, Chris, I apologize. I had some issues this week, but I'll get back to you after this after this live. There's another Chris. Beautiful day in Rio. Wow. You know, I was in Rio once, but that was back in 1976. Wow. Spartak, Radrad, Doimonian. All right. So, you know, it's funny. I thought about the whole week. I thought about this topic that I wanted to talk about. And hello, Lori, Colin. And I this morning, about an hour and a half ago, I came up with a new topic. So the last hour and a half, I spent kind of trying to put it in a format that I can talk about it, because I thought that was a much more powerful topic than the one I was planning to talk about. But I'll talk about both. So the first one I want to talk about, and of course, after that I want to hear what you have to say and what you want to ask. It is something that I learned in a course I took this couple of weeks ago. I hope you can see it. Very important in life. You know, as I always say, you have to start moving towards your goal. Don't try to achieve it first day. All right. So the first topic I wanted to talk about is a new, I don't know how to say it, discovery, thought, or something. I think it came to me from the collective consciousness. You know, usually my thoughts don't come from within, like I don't come up with the thoughts. I don't think anybody does. So I'll show you a slide here. And most of you probably remember it because it was part of my presentation, the 4 boundaries. And I want to show you a new idea, a new concept about reality that you probably like very much, because I love it. All right. So I will take you here. Yeah. So if you remember, I was talking about the 4 boundaries, and those boundaries were our birth, right here, right? Our passing out of this world. So those 2 are the boundaries on the time plane. So we come into this world, we are born, and then we exit this world. But there is no way for us to pick and see what's beyond those 2 lines. Okay, so those are the boundaries as far as the time plane. Just trying to rearrange my my screen here. Okay, and then there were the physical boundaries in space, of which one was the. Let me change the color of this. I think probably be better in, say, green. Yeah. So we had the infinity of the space, which was the boundary if we try to reach out in space, you know, we run into this thing called infinity. And then there is the boundary if we try to go into the smallest, the micro part, the quantum part, we run into the boundary where we cannot find the smallest part. We keep going and it's an infinity again. So I want to talk today about what happens after we exit here. You know, we kind of I touched on it many times, but I think generally what I was saying is we become consciousness again, because we had that avatar, right? Here, if you remember, there was a picture of an avatar. I don't know how to draw very well. And then our consciousness was somewhere here on top, right? So let's go. So what I'm really saying in this new, oh, there is the consciousness and the avatar. Let me just go back to the previous slide. So when we exit here, right, we become, now we can go to the next one. We become this consciousness, right? So let's say we are here now. We exited the previous, I'm too close to the edge here. We exited the previous reality, right? Oh, I see, my picture is in the way. So we are here. You know, we exited, we came from there. Okay, I cannot really draw on this side. We came from there, and we are in between realities, right? We are out of the previous reality, but according to this new theory that I developed, there are many worlds, many realities, and don't confuse it with the multiverse. I'm not saying there's an infinite number of realities or universes, and in each one you are a different. This is not what I'm saying. Okay, so forget about that concept. What I'm saying here is that when you come out of this reality, of this world, or when you die, you become consciousness, right? You don't have a physical body anymore. But what happens when you become consciousness, this is the real you that goes through all these other realities that the programmer created. The programmer is very creative, right? So he created many realities, not just this one world. And we, which actually are kind of segments of that programmer, right? Because this is how the programmer is experiencing all these things through us. When we get out of one reality, I don't know how long we stay in between. You know, I haven't been there. And there are actually people that say that, that the soul is waiting to be assigned and come back here. So it's kind of similar, but what I'm saying is, I think it's totally new and revolutionary. I'm not saying you come back here. You never come back here. You just go to a different reality. You enter again. You are born in a different reality, in whichever way. It's probably not the same way like here. And then you go through that reality, right? And once you exit this reality, and this reality could be 80,000 years, not 8 years. It doesn't matter, right? And here, when you exit, you become that consciousness again, right? And this is the only time in between those realities. Let's take the next one, right? So this is the only time. Let's call this one reality number 3, right? So now we enter that one. And when we are in between those realities, this is the real us. This is the real, this is where we have our real identity. Because in every one of those, we are on a stage and we are actors. So this is not our real identity. We always aim to connect to our real identity. We meditate, people take drugs, LSD or whatever, ayahuasca, and this is all in an effort to recognize, to connect, to understand, to see that real ourselves, which is out there, our consciousness, and which is only clear completely from any of these helmets of virtual reality when we are in between those realities. So, I just thought that probably is the case, but it's a much better case for us, right? Because that means that we are really infinite, and this is an amazing ride. Who knows what the next reality will be. Now, in each reality, because we are also the creators, so in each reality, right, and let's say we are now in reality 1 as far as we are concerned. It could be reality number 220, but doesn't matter. Our job, our mission is to actually influence that reality, right? Because as we pass through that reality, we change it. And this is how that reality actually evolves, because we evolve it. And in every reality, we have to actually focus and try to make it, say, better for the ones that will enter it later, not make it worse. So far, we've made it worse, but this is something we need to change, and I'll talk about that one in the next topic. So, enjoy that one, dream about it, think about it, and keep in mind that in between realities, you are in nothingness. In nothingness, well, that's kind of an oxymoron, but you basically have nothing in between realities. There's no matter. So this is you back to nothingness, and then again you enter one of those. All right. So let me go back to my regular screen here. And I hope that you, like I said, you will have something to think about. And I'm sure that some of you will also kind of sense whether it's true, not true, and get some idea, because when we hear something that touches our consciousness, or actually that looks real or close to the truth or to our consciousness, we know it. It lets us know somehow, right? Through our feelings. Okay, so now this next topic I want to talk about is much more practical, and it's something that, like I said, came to me this morning as a topic for a video. I've been thinking about it for many years, but it kind of culminated, you say, today that I saw the whole picture. You see, there is a saying that says that if you do exactly what you did yesterday, right? If you wake up and you do the same thing you did yesterday, today will be the same. It's not going to be different, right? So we all know that. And, I always talk about just do it, action, it's a different day, it's not another day, and so on and so on. And where I want to go with this is, over 80% of the population, even today, even those statistics are from 2020, but I don't think it changed, over 80% belong to a religion. And I'll show you a slide here. Okay, so as you can see, only 15.5% are non-religious or don't belong to some kind of a religion. And there is, there's another 20 religions under this, which I didn't want to display. Those are the main ones, right? The Christianity is 31%, Islam is 25% roughly, and Hinduism is 15%, very similar to the secular. Now, just come back here. Okay. So what I'm saying is, these religions, and Judaism is in there too, they existed for thousands of years. And since their creation, right, so Jesus and Muhammad and I don't know, the Jewish religion was not created by a person. Buddhism is Buddha. The people who lived after, all the way up to here, followed what those leaders, those people who started those religions, basically told them, or at least that's how it was interpreted. But the fact is, and if anybody thinks that I'm wrong, you can actually tell me here. The fact, as far as I'm concerned, is that nobody is better off today than in the past. Right? Nobody is better off. We are just worse off. So So what is it? So what I'm saying is that we do not speak or transmit on the right frequency. We are on the wrong frequency. The programmer is there. Like I know that, I believe that. It's just that the programmer, and this is for metaphorical reasons only, is listening on a particular frequency. But we, for thousands of years, are transmitting on a different frequency. And what do we get? We get nothing. We just, look, for example, at the Hebrews, the Jews, right? So, for 2,000 years, we are in exile. We weren't in our country. We were exiled, by the Romans back at the Second Temple period, which is roughly 2,000 years ago. And I'm sure that most people, not everybody, but most people, they followed the traditions, the prayers, the commandments, and they did it for close to 2,000 years, and then came the Holocaust. And 6 million died in the most terrifying ways. And I'm sure that those also prayed and everything, but wrong frequency, right? So what did they not do? So again, coming back to the Hebrews, because that's a good example. Something happened after the Holocaust. Something happened in 1948. What happened? They took action. Right? They took action and they created a state called Israel. So what did they do? They pushed the boundaries. They did something they have never done for 2,000 years. And I'm sure that most of you are not familiar with it, but the Zionist movement is non-religious, is actually against religion. It's totally against religion. Like when this whole Zionist movement started, they decided to make it a non-religious state. But what did they do? They took action. So action is the frequency. And that applies on a personal level, just as it applies on a on a global, in a big picture level. It's the same thing. At the end of the day, we can sit and cry and pray and and dance and do all these things, but it's not going to take us anywhere until we take action. And as soon as you start to take action, you actually tune on the frequency of the programmer, and the programmer communicates with you. This is what it's called in reality transurfing, the outer intention and all this manifestation and all these things. Why do they work? Because you take action. You start to move your car, and then the programmer can help you steer it. Like I always say, if it's parked, then you're on the wrong frequency. So going back to Israel, since 1948, it won every war. It became very powerful, and what's the difference? The only difference was they took action. For 2,000 years, they didn't take action. They were scholars, they studied, they prayed, they wrote books. Everything was very nice, but they continuously suffered. And then, one day they decided to take action, and look what happened. So I think there is a big lesson there. And that brings us to another topic, which I'm going to discuss next week, because this is too much for one day. And this is what happens when you become powerful, whether it's a nation or individual or company, or what happens when you become very powerful? You have to go back and balance the spiritual aspect. So what I'm saying here is not a black and white thing, right? You take action, you become powerful, and everything is fine. No, you also have to remember that other side, and be connected spiritually, and do good, right? And that, like I said, I will develop that topic for next week, about that balance that needs to be there after you take action. So you have to remember that. All right. So as usual, this time I go into an environmental section here. And this time, I'm not going to show you any pictures, but I'll tell you something that, in my opinion, and I feel that way for some years now, is that by 2050, which is only 27 years from now, there will be no wildlife per se. Like whatever you have today, you can go to Africa, go on a safari, or you go in Canada, you go even in my backyard, you see black bears. You won't have any of that. The only place kids will be able to see animals is either in some kind of a zoo or in some kind of a virtual reality, which is more likely it will be that way. But there will be no real wildlife if everything continues the way it is right now. There's no way that they can survive. And, and it's for a reason. I think that the dinosaurs also disappeared for a reason, because as we progress or evolve, certain elements of this reality are not needed anymore. They don't feel any function, because the animals had functionality in the past. They were part of the human life, human environment. Like humans were intertwined with the animals. And if you look at history, you read the Bible or any other ancient books, you see that animals are in there as part of our reality. But that is not the case anymore. Today, the animals are not part of our reality. It's more of something that we admire, that we want to preserve, but they're not part of our reality anymore. They don't affect us like they used to, right? There are still some parts in the world when maybe the elephants run wild and destroy some villages, or, but that's not the way out. So the bottom line of this whole thing that I'm talking about today is that, we are 8 billion. Apparently, we passed the 8 billion mark, I think it was 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I read somewhere that the world population just passed the 8 billion. I don't know how they know, but let's assume it's there, close to that number, right? And the 8 billion of us, like I always say, this is God. God and the 8 billions of us is the same thing. They're not two different things. And the thing is that, again, as I said a couple of videos ago, we are all born the same, with the same potential, the same energy, the same connection, the same everything. But then our personality differentiates us from each other, and we become individuals, right? And we become different. And some of us use that power more, some of us use that power less. And the thing is, if you look at the 8 billion, right? And let's go back and say this is a democracy. Each one can make a difference in this reality, right? The ones that take action, they become disproportionately, in a big way, way more powerful than the ones that don't. So as soon as people start to take action, like everybody has ideas and concepts, and everybody wants to change the world, and everybody wants to be rich, but very few take action. I mean real action, because there's sometimes action that's not real as well. You think you're taking action, just like the hamster runs in the wheel, right? The hamster thinks that he's taking action, but actually is running in one place. So action has to be something that you don't run on a wheel. And as soon as you start to take action, like I said, you grab way more power than your portion was before you took the action. And this is something, that I implement and I teach people on an individual level as well, because that's the key to the whole thing. If you want to be happy, successful, and so on, you have to take action. Like Nike is it, just do it. All right, I think that. Yeah, that's true. How does that come back to the animals, the wildlife, and all that? Is that it's the same thing with the global warming. You know, we basically we all sit there and we wait for somebody else to fix it. On every level, on the individual level, we say, "Oh, let the city fix it. Let the government fix it. Let the United Nations fix it," and so on and so on, right? But in the meantime, most of us we continue to drive, SUVs and like I see here in Vancouver at least, the proportion of pickup trucks, which are gas guzzlers and polluters, increased dramatically, like on the roads over the last few years. Even though the gas prices went up and everything, and we have global warming, it's first of all, nobody cares because they feel that they have no control over it. And the second thing is, like I said, people feel that they have no control. Whether I drive a truck or not is not gonna, make the weather cooler in next summer. That's how people feel. But you see, this is the mistake, because as soon as you take action, your ability to make a change becomes way, way, way higher, and it goes from there. So it applies to global warming. It also applies to this thing with the animals. By 2050, if nobody takes any action, right, then this is how it's going to be, and that's okay. If this is what we choose, this is what we want, this is what we will get. All right, so let me go. One more thing I wanted to tell you, and this is very, very important, is that whenever you try to connect to the programmer or connect to the collective consciousness and say manifest, or you pray, or you try to make something happen, always do it aloud. If you just think about it or just say it quietly, silently inside you, it's not going to work. You have to say it aloud. Whatever you want to happen, say it aloud. And I will explain in some other video, because this is also very complicated, very not complicated, but it has some deep reasons. But remember that, always say it aloud, and you will be shocked how it happens sometimes right away. All right, so I'm going to come to your comments here. And let's see, I'll try to put it on the screen again. Okay. Oh, now I'm getting that noise again. So that starts when I put the comments on. That's interesting. Okay, let me just, I'll get out of the comments and I'll just bring them one at a time on the screen. That's interesting. I thought it was from my phone. Okay. So, hello, Chris. Yeah, so nice to see you here. How is the weather in Germany today? It's funny, we have Chris and Chris. Beautiful day in Rio, yeah. Spartak, I am very good, Spartak. I am actually much better than I was before. Before that cardiologist told me that I need to fix my heart. Edumonian. New York. What a city. John. Where is John? There is John. How are you, John? Red Deer. I didn't realize you were in Red Deer. I remember Alberta, but I didn't realize Red Deer. I had a dear friend there. His name was Glenn, and he killed himself in a high-speed car accident. He was driving his Camaro or Corvette, and he hit some kind of a little bridge, and he got killed. That was, I would say, about 30 years ago. But I've been to Red Deer quite a few times. It's always the stopover between Calgary and Edmonton. Handija. Hi. Sabrina. So nice to see you. And there we go. Elegantly. Elegante. Frosty St. Petersburg. Yeah. Well, I know. I was born in Poland and I lived there for my first 9 years. I also was in St. Petersburg, actually in the winter. Dave, how are you, Dave? I haven't seen you in a while. Zephyr. Matilde. Great to see you. So does the soul retain its integrity after discarding this avatar and move on to the next? Or does the base consciousness mixed up with the rest of the consciousnesses? No, neither. What happens is that, imagine, I'll take it on a different level. Imagine that you are, well, it doesn't say your name here, but let's say that you are Shlomo, right? You are me. I am he. And this is who you are, right? This is who you are. This is you. Now, let's say that there is a bunch of virtual realities. Today we have only the one to talk about is the Meta by Facebook guys. But let's say that there is like 20 of those, right? And let's say that they are very advanced. Let's say that we are now in 2050. And hopefully the animals are still here. So you put those helmets, and those days, I guess in 2050 it will be different. You will not need to put helmets. Maybe you just connect some kind of a wire to your brain, and you will be in a different reality, right? And in that reality, you're not going to be Shlomo. You're going to be somebody else, because you will enter into that reality, and you will kind of develop in there from scratch. Just like here, you're born, right? That's the entry of that reality. So if you are Shlomo and you go into these 20 realities that are available at that time, in each one you will be somebody else. But the real you will still be Shlomo, because every time you come out of that reality, or you take off or you disconnect that wire, right? You will go back and be Shlomo. And then you say, okay, so that was very interesting. I was Anga Balanga in that reality there, and it was amazing. And there were all these things that I've never seen in my whole life, never imagined even they can exist. And, and I had a fantastic time. But now I'm out and I'm back to being Shlomo. And now I'm going to plug into the next reality, right? Maybe Google has a better reality there. So this is how it works on the higher level too. You are who you are there. You don't know who you are right now. But you are there and you have a fixed identity. And then you go into those different realities, of which one is the one we are sitting here. We are here right now. I'm talking to you, right? And you become somebody else. And in that reality, this is who you are. But this is not the real you. The real you is when you get out of this reality. This will be the real you. When you get there, don't forget to say hi. I hope you don't get there anytime soon, because I cannot guarantee that this is the case. Okay, I guess you get the point. Don't be negative. Next reality will be heaven, always heaven. There is no hell, unless you decide to set it up that way. Yeah, this reality can be hell, of course, but it's all up to you. It's all up to you in this reality if you want it to be hell or heaven. It's totally under your control. No, there are no dinosaurs in the Bible, because the Bible, it's a very sticky topic with the religious people, because the Bible supposedly tells us about creation. So the dinosaurs should be there, right? If the Bible starts at the creation, the dinosaurs should be in that time frame somewhere, but they are not. So the non-religious people, at least I know in Israel, among the Jews, they always tell the religious people, well, where are the dinosaurs? We found them. They physically existed. How come they're not in the Bible? So the Bible cannot be real. So I don't know if you meant it that way here, but it's a very sticky topic. And I'll tell you a secret. that nobody knows is that in the Old Testament, the section that talks about creation with Adam and Eve and the fruit they ate and this whole thing, in my personal opinion, very subjective, is not part of the Bible. It was something from some kind of some other tradition or whatever, and it was inserted in there. I cannot see that belongs there. But that's my personal opinion. So I think the reason it is that way is because either the real description of creation was too much for people to take, and it was taken out by somebody many, many years ago and replaced with this one, or it was missing and somebody decided that the Bible is not going to be complete without creation, and it put it there. That's my opinion. I know that the Kabbalah, for example, for the Kabbalah, this part of the Bible is the most important and the one that it talks about the most is that creation part. But, I always tell people the story about my son Daniel, my oldest son, and when he was a baby, when he was young, he was the first child, so we bought all these books, children's books, like the whole wall was full of them, but he liked only one. He always wanted read before he went to bed, and that one was only pictures. It had no text. And every evening, every night, we would, invent new text for those pictures, and this is what he liked the most. And this is why Kabbalah is actually sticking to that part of creation. Anyway, that's like I said, it's a secret. I never told this to anybody. Okay, so this was a long answer to the dinosaurs in the Bible. Hello from Portugal. I said before, I love Portugal. I was there actually just before pandemic. Do programmer knows our language? Of course, because your language, when you speak it out, is a language. But before you speak it, in your mind, is not a language. Right? It's a concept that you want to express, and then it comes out in a language. So what the programmer actually hears, he hears it from your mind, not what you speak. What you speak is and I know it contradicts a little bit what I said, you have to say it aloud, but we'll talk about it some other time. Hello, Amani. Ghazi. Amani Ghazi. I wonder where that's from. Well, maybe from the Middle East. Hey, John, you're doing great. Nice to hear. Very important. There you go. You create your own heaven, you see, instead of having hell. And I think maybe our conversation a couple of weeks ago helped, I hope. Nathan, Michigan. First live stream for me. Oh, welcome. Welcome. It's not going to be your last, I guarantee you. Consuming many videos, that means you are lost. You have to consume the videos, but then you have to sit with yourself and see what to do with it. Thank you. Calico? Dario, greeting from Switzerland. Thank you. It seems that after we suffer more, take actions and change our area. Like when or after we suffer. Oh, yeah, because suffering basically wakes us up, right? And unfortunately, it's one way to wake us up. There are other ways, but sometimes we don't wake up unless we suffer. Nice. Yeah, one day I want to travel there because my grandparents from my mother's side, my mother, she was Russian and she came from Stalingrad, which today, is not Stalingrad anymore. But I want to travel there and find my roots on that side. I remember I was there when I was 6. My mom took me down from Poland on a train all the way down to the village on the Volga, right by, it was south, I think, under Stalingrad. And there was a huge shipyard there. So I don't remember the name of the village, but hopefully I'll find it. It'll be quite an adventure for me. It's funny how we feel to pronounce what we want to loudly. It can really tell us how we feel about some things. You know what? That's a good point. Maybe that's why it works. Sometimes the right action is no action. Yeah, but sometimes. Remember what you said here, sometimes. Because if it's all times, then it's not good. Everything has to be in balance, right? We cannot just act all the time. That's why the Bible introduced this Sabbath, the seventh day, where you don't act. Because without it, humanity wouldn't progress at all. We would still be in caves. Let's see, John. If I stay present with no thinking, it's a state like between lives. Then when I come back to thinking, I'm much more powerful. Well, it's an interesting concept. John, I'm happy that you are so active and so dynamic. This is amazing. I am very, very impressed. And I think you are doing the right thing. So we are only a neuron in the mind of God. Maybe. Does it matter? It doesn't matter, because when you say we are a neuron in the mind of God, then you have to look from some other place which is way, 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 way higher and further to see it that way, right? So if you look from here, it doesn't really matter if you're a neuron or not. You still have a reality and you live that reality. So how you describe it really is irrelevant. Did I display it? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. Hey, Danielle. Happy Sunday, yeah? Another happy Sunday. Agafia Olympia Farces. And you are in Italy, I remember correctly. You always delete the messages that you sent me on Messenger before I can read them. Colleen, do nighttime sleep meditation work for reprogramming the brain? You know, I said that before, you cannot reprogram the brain. In order to reprogram the brain, especially in Red Deer, you need to create new experiences. And those can only be created with action. So if you act and you create a new experience, you will reprogram your brain. It's just that you need to create a new layer of into your brain to cover the previous one. You cannot reprogram it per se. There's no such thing. This is only in the movies. You know, in the Matrix they reprogram. Who is the player in the Hindu Atman? Yeah, I know you are, Nick. I learned that already. It's just that I don't always want to mention names, because if people have different names, then maybe they don't want their name mentioned. So I'm kind of careful. This is my privacy policy. So who is the player in the virtual reality? The Hindu Atman. Well, the player in the virtual reality, we don't know. You know, if you meditate very, very deep, maybe you will discover who the player is. But you know, it's not open to us. No parallel realities. That's what I was trying to say. Don't confuse what I was saying there with parallel realities, because they don't happen in parallel. Those are one at a time. You finish this one, say 100 years here, you go to the next one. They're not parallel. The only thing that's always parallel is the real you, your consciousness. It's always parallel. It's always with those realities. It's experiencing them. And it's an amazing thing, like I said, you know, this is crazy that we are fortunate to be like that. I believe that's what I experienced when I astral travel, Shlomo. Or move my consciousness during channeling. Yeah, that's why I said that, you know, some people do it with meditation, some people do it with LSD, and some people are psychics like you. You know. Hey, Strawberry, I'm always impressed that you are up in Tokyo. Amazing, amazing. It gives me also lots of hope. I say, if people get up so early for me, that means that I'm saying something interesting, right? Just joined from Tokyo, but I must go to sleep. Yeah, I will not be very long today. But I really, really appreciate and respect you being here. Thank you. Love from Vancouver, Agafia. What is the greatest task here in this game of life? What programmer wants from us? Your opinion. Greeting from Serbia. Well, I talked about it. I always talk about it, and this is really what the purpose of life in my. The sun is playing on my face, but that's okay. That way, it's sunny. This is, the most important thing to understand, in my opinion, in this reality, is really what does the programmer want? Because if you don't understand, you start to go against the grain. Everything will start to go wrong for you. And what the programmer wants from us in this reality is to push the boundaries. It's just what I said at the very beginning, is to push the boundaries without being violent, okay? That's all the programmer wants from you. Push the boundaries every minute, every day. Take a rest when you need, because that's what the Sabbath is for. But rest of the time, take a rest, but the rest of the time, nice game of words here, you push the boundaries. As long as you push the boundaries, you will do what the programmer wants. You will be happy, you will be healthy, and you will have everything you want. Life will be perfect. Just push the boundaries. And this, this brings us back. Brings us back to this metaphor that I always use. That when you fly in space, and it can be the fastest rocket ever created, 1,000,000 kilometers a second, there's absolutely no way for you to know that you are moving. The only time you know you are moving is when that rocket accelerates or decelerates, because then you get gravity kind of force, G-forces, right? And that makes you feel it. And this life is the same thing. If you don't push the boundaries, you don't really know you are living. And God forbid, when you die, people will say, you know what? Neo, it's very hard to prove that Neo ever lived. Right? And you don't want nobody wants people to say that about their lives. So push the boundaries. All right. Ancient concept of having a magic name for oneself was a way for those people to connect with the VR. Possibly, name has a lot of meanings, so it would have something to do with the name. Done kind. We didn't get to connect while I was traveling through Vancouver. Oh, that's true. I remember. Well, I actually told you I was in North Van. You were in Surrey at that time. Then you moved. But anyway, we are connecting here, which is fantastic. And next time, maybe I'll be moving through your territory. Do I believe guided nighttime sleep meditation help at all, or perhaps just bits? I don't believe in any of these things. And it's more of a matter of how your physical brain is made of, like how it may be. It's like some people enjoy certain smells and they don't enjoy others. The brain is probably the same way. So maybe this 432 hertz frequency, just like the brain, your brain may like that and you sleep better. That's a possibility, but I don't think it has anything to do with the larger concepts I'm talking about. Again, that's my subjective opinion. I may be wrong, and whatever. You have to go by your own understanding, feeling, instincts. This is the answers are only there. Nobody can give you answers. Thank you, Daniel. Well, I don't agree with that. I know you resonate with me, but I don't agree with the statement, because if everything was created, what the hell are we doing here? Right? And here you actually say it yourself. That's why we have to push boundaries, yeah. Oh, well. Kevin! The meat guy. How are you? I haven't seen you in ages. How come you don't have any questions? Shoot a question, because you are the last one here now. I'll give you a chance here to ask an interesting question. Huh? All right. So I hope that everything was good today. The sound, the picture, and just out of curiosity, if you can maybe put it in the comments later, pushing button. I wonder what is your opinion, whether it would be like better for you if I sit like this and make my presentations and bring the iPad here with the stuff like that, or if I had a little studio kind of thing and I was standing up and the camera was further and I had the whiteboard and doing it like in a class type environment. Because I was thinking about doing that when we switch to Zoom, which we will hopefully soon. We'll still post it on YouTube, but I want to have you in Zoom so that we can talk and everybody can come on the screen and talk rather than just put comments on. So if you can give me some feedback on that, because I've seen a program for 3 days. I was enrolled in a program and they actually had a studio and did everything standing up just like in a classroom. All right. Thank you, John, for being you. Nathan, I use a fancy camera. I use a full frame like SLR. It's called the Lumix S5. It's a real camera, not an internet camera. And I converted in some fancy ways into these pictures you see here. And go a little bit lower there so you can see my whole head. And I use a microphone actually that I don't think anybody uses. It's funny because most people use the Shure, like for podcasts and everything. They use the Shure 7B, whatever it's called. It's that's what I see in most YouTube professional YouTube's videos, and or they use a clip-on microphone, right, or a microphone that comes from the ear. Some of those are like $1,000. The good ones. But what I use, I'll show it to you here. It's also a Shure, but it's a stereo microphone. So what it means, you see it has right arrow on there and left. So what it means that when I speak, you can actually hear me in a stereophonic mode. You see, hear me from both sides. So if I go on that side, it will come on your right side, and this will come on your left side. I can see it here on my channel. So I just think this is more lifelike when you talk on a stereo microphone, because 99% of the presenters on YouTube, they use mono microphone, meaning just one microphone, and they short the two channels. So it's a long technical answer. Light, I don't really use. I just open the blinds here, and the sun comes in. And if I need to use light, I have a big LED project, like big light, and I close the blinds when it's a dark day. The blinds are white, kind of cream beige, and I shine the light on those blinds and it comes back on me and it's very soft. So this is all I use, and the light is like, I don't know, I paid $100 for it. It's just a panel with LEDs on it, and you can adjust the temperature so I can make it like so my skin looks normal, not white or red. There you go. Okay, I get it. I just used your thing as a bouncing board so I can say something. So don't take it personally. Whatever you believe, really believing will work. I agree 100%. But it's not so easy to believe. This is why I always present that horizontal line of impossibilities, right? All right. I like it this way. Zoom, you can use digital whiteboard if you like. I know. This is what I was planning, but they are like over $3,000, but I found one which is really, really nice. I'll do it. That's my evolution. Whoop. Kevin, my main question. Oh, there is a Kevin with a question. Great. You know, I always liked your creativity, Kevin. Like you are going in so many directions. Amazing. The Saturday, the diets. My main question, struggle is relying on process vs letting go. And focusing on outcome and not being so structured with process. Okay, so I'll tell you what my take on that is. I think that you have to start a process. You have to move in the direction of where you want to go. But in your case, and we had a talk, so I kind of know you, is that you are too structured. So it means that you are planning everything, and you are planning the details in everything. And this is where the problem comes. So what you should do instead is set a goal, whatever that might be, convert 10,000 people to have this diet that you want to teach them. But don't plan it in details. Just like a good example is what I'm doing here. I didn't plan this session here with you, that this is what I will be talking. I didn't plan it. I just had an outline. I had like maybe 20 words on the screen here where I outline what I want to talk about. And then I just let it develop. So if you do it that way, you set a goal and then you let it develop. You move in that direction and let it develop and work with it with some of your input and some with the programmer's input or the outer intention input. And this way, you will not have, to rely on the process. Excuse me. You will balance the letting go with the process, and I think this is the best way, to feel good. And that way you also don't have to see a fixed outcome. You can make it a little bit wider, with different options that you will be satisfied with. Doesn't have to be like narrow. This is what has to happen in order for me to be happy or to be satisfied or to feel successful. Make it broader. All right. Washington, D.C. This is where all the power lies. Enjoying watching. Not sure if you always have to join live and not watch YouTube. If on Zoom. No, what will happen on Zoom is I will post it on YouTube after. It's just that during the session, you will be able to talk instead of putting comments. That's really the only difference. It wouldn't be much of a difference. And everybody would be able to see everybody, in a small picture on their screen, rather than just looking at the static pictures here on the comments. So this is, I don't want to change anything. I just want to be able to see you and have you speak. If you feel you don't have to, right? You can always put a static picture in Zoom as well if you don't want to be seen. Some people don't like, to speak in public and so on. I respect that because I was like that for many years. Thank you, Nathan. You are very welcome. Oh, so many thanks yous here. That's good. All right, so we'll go into the rest of our Sunday or Monday, wherever you are, and try to implement some of the things that I was talking about here, so that when we arrive at 2050, we can still have some animals. So all the best to you, and see you next Sunday. Ciao, ciao.